While everyone is rightfully excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, one of the big games that's coming out this year that I'm really excited for is for the Nintendo Switch 1, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And we need to talk about the latest updates for the game and it's into why you guys need to play it. I want to go over everything when it comes down to it as we get closer and closer to the launch of the game. So let's first start off with the update. We've got brand new footage from the official Monolith Soft account, translated by the fan page Xenoblade EN. When you encounter an enemy in the field, you can begin the battle by unsheathing your melee weapon. You can deal damage by combining auto attacks with unique techniques called arts. Now, this is the bread and butter of the Xenoblade system, and I actually like the fact that we're going back to the horizontal blade after a number of games, obviously using the face buttons to map out your arts. And with the Nintendo Switch 1 being able to map buttons, you can easily use the bumpers to scroll through them instead of having to use the D-pad, because in this game, unlike Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, you can actually move and attack at the same time, very much like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 for positioning. For those who don't know, positioning is incredibly important for Xenoblade Chronicles games, all of them, and it's no different here with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. But this new footage is looking crisp, it's looking clean, and we need to talk about why you guys need to check this one out, even if you're not a major Xenoblade fan. Now, the first thing that I would say for those who just want to maybe try this game out, you don't have to worry about the branching, huge, massive story that Xenoblade fans will gush about for forever at this point. This is a standalone experience. Now, if you've played Xenoblade 1 through 3 and the DLCs, then yeah, you might get a little bit of different things here and there, pick up on stuff, but for the most part, you can be a complete newbie and jump right into this. So I highly recommend all of you guys that are even just interested slightly in the Xenoblade universe to pick this game up. I know $60 is a tall task overall, obviously, limited resources or money for certain people, but I'm telling you, if you get into it, it is absolutely worth every single penny of that $60 plus tax that you'll be paying, or whatever you're going to do in order to check it out. Just this game is worth playing. It's worth your time more than anything overall. And once again, it is a standalone experience that you can play, not having to worry about knowing every single thing about the Xenoblade universe and its characters. Now, another big reason why you need to check out this game is that the graphics look incredible for the Nintendo Switch 1, and it's fully optimized. And what do I mean by fully optimized? Well, the original game was very weird. It was over, I think, 20 gigabytes overall if you look at the data packs and everything with the DLCs and just all of that combined. It was a really weird game because the Wii U wasn't necessarily built for this type of massive open world game and loading the textures and all of that. A lot of developers had trouble when it came to it. Now, the Nintendo Switch 1, much better overall when it comes to what it can do as a system, graphical power, processes, and so much. So they actually optimized the heck out of it because it's now down to about 15 gigabytes in file size, being able to fit on one standard Nintendo Switch 16 gigabyte cartridge. That means they went in there and they optimized the heck out of the game. They removed any of the junk data or whatever else they needed to do and finally tuned it for the Nintendo Switch 1 hardware. So that is a really good thing to see, because sometimes you get these remasters and they'll be way bigger than the original game and barely look better. But this game has better looks in addition to being fully optimized. And if you look at what they did overall, this might be a downgrade for some because the Wii U gamepad was good as a map and some of the things, but for others, if you played the original with the Pro controller, you actually had to use two controllers. You had to have the Wii U gamepad for certain data maps and probes that you would put out there on the field. So that was somewhat uncomfortable. This one, they'll be able to pull up a screen to where you can easily see it and switch back to your regular display to play. So you don't need two controllers overall. So it's been fine-tuned and optimized for the Nintendo Switch. But here's another thing. If you're enjoying this video as much as I am making and talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not, and click that notification bell, hit that like button while you're at it, and let's go ahead and get right back into what makes Xenoblade Chronicles X so awesome. Now, another thing that's really good about pretty much every Xenoblade game, but this one is no exception, and that is the music. But it's a very different style. It's got a hip-hop/rap influence, but also the futuristic type of vibes or anime style or JRPG style of music that you know and love. So it creates this really, I would say, blissful blend of tunes that really just stick with you. Black Tar, so many other types of music that I've still remembered a decade plus later at this point, or at least going on a decade. The music is just so good in the game, and it's going to stick with you. The battle themes, the boss themes, the exploration music, it's just so well done. And I know New LA music kind of gets a bit like, okay, yeah, I heard that. It gets a little bit, I would say, annoying at times, but maybe there'll be an option to kind of tune that or to change it up. We'll have to wait and see. Although Monolith Soft did not listen to what people said when it came to the chain attack music with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I doubt they're going to do that here. But either way, overall, the music is just so good. So good to where it's a soundtrack. You can listen to it. I mean, it's got so many unique, cool tracks. They're named really awkward and weird at times, but once again, they're so good overall. So the sound design, along with the actual music, is well done. The little sound effects of like your gun, in addition to like the bullets reloading, the blade attacks, what your teammates are saying, the voice acting is very good. Just everything's just solid when it comes to the sound design, when it comes to the music and the game overall. Very well put together. Some of Monolith Soft's best work overall. Now let's talk about some of those characters, because the characters and villains in this game are interesting. I think that the main cast of characters maybe isn't as good as any singular Xenoblade game out there, but I would say that the villains are actually pretty well done and very well designed. So I think it gives you an overall sense. If you look at the scope and what the game is, and no spoilers here, I think it makes sense how the characters are and what they are compared to what Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3 characters are, because the vibe is completely different by the time that you get to the end of the game and you see all the different twists and turns that this game puts you through. Because the story is good, but I personally wouldn't say it's as good as Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3, but it's still a very good story, and we've got more to talk about when it comes to that story, because that's also another big thing why you need to check out this game. There's also going to be a number of quality of life features when it comes to the menus, when it comes to the heads-up display. The text is no longer super tiny. I think there's going to be a lot of different things that they've updated in here when it comes to the navigation overall. So I think it's going to be a better package, which they've already stated there is a ton of improvements that they're adding into the game. Some of the annoying little things with Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U will be fixed up for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. So that's exciting to see, because I love Monolith Soft's games, but often, man, sometimes the quality of life features just aren't there at the beginning. Gotta give them double props for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles Future Redeemed. Those ones came pretty much built in with most of the quality of life features that we would usually get in patches. We got that from the beginning, so they're definitely getting better with that, but I think that this is now an opportunity to fix some of the other stuff that was an issue with the original game, which it wasn't a major issue overall, but inventory was something that you were constantly checking, you were constantly going into, so I'd expect improvements on that as well. But here's the big thing why everyone should absolutely check this out, is because you're getting the best experience with the story. The story is something that is so good, and you're getting new content, new skills, and new locations. Nintendo put out this tweet the other day, and it said, "Strap in, Scale Pilot, new adventures await on Mira." And they showed off this new location that was never in the original Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now, it was in the docket or the planning, but I guess that they cut it out. So this one's going to be added in here, and it should tie in with the new story as well, or at least the new story elements in here, because for those who don't know, it ends on a cliffhanger, which sucks. Nobody likes it ending on a cliffhanger, and on top of that, not having anything to tie up what's happening, because there's been no real sequel. So I would expect this one to be a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, or Future Connected, or future redeemed type of thing. But this might be a little bit different from what we've seen before with the expansions and extra things with Xenoblade games. This just might be intertwined naturally with the game instead of it being a separate thing that you play. It does seem like it's just going to be naturally intertwined, and it's just going to fix itself overall to where you don't beat the game then say, okay, now I'm going to play this. Like, that's how Future Connected is, that's how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna is, and Future Redeemed. But this one should naturally be intertwined with it, with the story updates and everything, or at least that's what I think it's going to be. So we'll see with that as well. But yeah, fixing that cliffhanger ending is definitely one of the biggest issues with the original Xenoblade Chronicles game, and I'm so happy it seems like they are going to be doing that with a mysterious new person that's been added in and other elements that were not in the original game. Now, to me, one of the biggest reasons why people need to check this game out and we need to talk about it more is simply because it supports one of Nintendo's best studios, if they're not best studio, and that is Monolith Soft. And I get it, remasters, remakes, and all that, people are kind of tired of them, but if there ever was a game that needed a remaster or being brought back, it's Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's on Nintendo's worst selling home system of all time, main home system of all time, and it's something to where it's starting to become in short supply because Nintendo obviously shut down the Wii U and the 3DS eShop, so it's only physical, and there wasn't a ton of copies sold overall. So eventually this would have became rare because of the nature of the Wii U. The Wii U is a rare system for people to even have it. Didn't sell that many systems, about 13 million or so. So clearly there's not going to be a ton of copies of Xenoblade Chronicles X floating around there. And it's the only Xenoblade game that was not on the Nintendo Switch. And now this pretty much completes it. You can play every single Xenoblade game on the Nintendo Switch, and that is an accomplishment in its own right. But I think that it definitely supports what Monolith Soft is doing next. Monolith Soft is not a development studio that gets a ton of sales overall with their individual games. Now, they are owned now 100% by Nintendo. Before it was like 96%, but now it's 100% owned by Nintendo, and they have a lot of support studios that help out with Animal Crossing, Splatoon, and The Legend of Zelda, and that's great. But the next step for them as a company is to actually take their own original games that they've made and bring that to more and more people. And I think that if they can build more capital with this, obviously it builds more confidence in order to get more funding and in order to make better and better games. The Nintendo Switch 2 is right around the corner, and they're hard at work on their next game. And I want Monolith Soft to continue having a lot of success as a development studio, to be able to continue hiring people and to continue to get the confidence from Nintendo's upper brass that they can get things done when it comes to their own original games that they make and not support studios for the bigger franchises that Nintendo has. So anytime that we can directly support Monolith Soft when it comes to what they've worked on, it's something that I actually treasure, because Monolith Soft absolutely deserves it, and this game is really good, so it deserves it as well. So I also want to make sure that Monolith Soft is doing incredible. So I think that's one thing, to me at least, when it comes to supporting Monolith Soft, this would support them and their next game that's coming. So to me, it's a buy because of that as well. So what do you guys think overall when it comes to everything that we talked about with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.